Bag Lady. I'm Sarah Lawson from So Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Ask Sarah, my weekly live Q&A chat. Okay, I've been waiting for this day for quite a while. Some home renovations got in the way, but my sewing video for tonight I'm super excited about is my easy cork and leather notebook cover. And so I designed this to be basically the quickest sewing project for a gift ever. It fits a standard composition notebook, and I even made one for the quilter's planner. So I wanted to say hi to everybody that's jumping in on the chat. Hi to Yvonne. Let's see who else is joining us. Yvonne's over from YouTube. All right, some more people are coming in too. I see Karen jumping on as well. Barbara's from New Jersey. So hi to everybody for joining me today. I just wanted to talk about my project while some more people jump in on the chat. So the sewing video for today is for the easy cork or leather notebook cover. So it can be made with any fabric that you can cut and leave raw. So cork, glitter vinyl, leather, even wool fabric, and it's basically a really simple cover that comes together for a really fast last-minute gift. And you can spice it up with either some machine or hand embroidery. Perhaps you do some English paper piecing. You could piece some hexagons and stitch it to the cover. Or if you would prefer, there's some cork fabrics with some nice printed designs on them as well. So this is another option. So I see Melissa and Jerry are jumping in. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget, while that sewing video is playing later or even now, ask your questions for me in the comments. They could be directed toward the project for tonight, or if you have any sewing related questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can live. So I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. Do you have a favorite fabric designer? If you're not familiar with fabric designers' names, no problem, but if you happen to have a favorite fabric designer, let me know in the comments below. You may or may not know, but Tula Pink is my favorite fabric designer. Basically, above my head, all those shelves up there to the ceiling, that's all my Tula Pink stash, so I have a lot of Tula Pink fabrics. I also love Allison Glass, Melody Miller, Caterina Roccella, so I have quite a large stash for each of those designers. I tend to favor large scale prints, so most of the fabrics that I'm buying from them are larger scale prints, but somebody asked a question in my Facebook group earlier today, so Diana told me beforehand that she wouldn't be able to make it to the live chat, but I wanted to answer her question. And her question was, she wanted to know how to keep track of fabric names and designers because not all of her cuts of fabric have a selvage strip on the fabric. So let me show you over here in this close-up view. But here's one of my fat quarters. And the fat quarter has a selvage which has information about the fabric. So this is designed by Tula Pink. The fabric line is called All Stars. The manufacturer is Free Spirit Fabrics, and then this is the item number of the fabric and the name of this actual fabric print. This one's called Tail Feathers. There's also additional information on some selvages. If you may or not have noticed before, but most selvages have either circles or little graphics with lots of different colors. And these are the colors that are contained in the fabric. So maybe looking at the fabric you would think, wow, there's like 4 colors, but there's actually all these colors contained in the fabric. And I find this part helpful because you can match fabrics that are not in the fabric line or even solids. You can match it to one of these colors and it'll work really nicely with this print of fabric. So per Diana's question, perhaps you bought a fat quarter without the designer's name on it. I would suggest if you're buying fabric either online or at your local quilt shop, you can either take a picture with your phone of the end of the bolt, which has the information about the fabric as well, or a lot of receipts also have that information as well, maybe the designer's name or the name of that fabric. You might want to save your receipts, maybe fold it in with the fabric, so if you're working from your stash maybe a year or two down the line, unfold the fabric and have that receipt in there, then you have at least a little bit of information about the fabric or the designer for that particular fabric. So I've been asking this question lately, and let me know if you are, but I want to see all my bag ladies out there, so let me know in the comments. Be proud about it. Say I'm a bag lady, but bag ladies are comprised of not only bag makers, but if you're making small accessories like pouches, that's a bag lady as well, and I've been getting really excited seeing new bag ladies or wannabe bag ladies in the comments lately. So let me know in the comments if you're a bag lady, and we'll put some of those up on the screen because I'm so excited every week to be sharing the bag making love, because that's what I love making the best, is bags. All right, a few more things before we get to that leather notebook cover video. I have another question for you. Let me know in the comments. How many people get or give gift cards as gifts? So the reason that I'm asking this question is obviously I'm intending this notebook cover to be for gift giving or even last minute gift giving, and I do enjoy getting gift cards as gifts. My favorite gift cards are probably to restaurants that I like to go to, or my most favorite is getting a gift card to a movie theater because I love going to the movies, and having a gift card is an excuse to go even more. I know you can watch a lot of movies at home on Netflix or Hulu or what have you, but I just like the act of going out to the movies, getting the popcorn and the candy, and like having a night out. So for gift cards, I love going to the movies, getting gift cards to restaurants as well. So let me show you some more of the notebook covers up close before we get to the video. Here's a notebook cover that I made with fawn cork from my shop, and this is an Allison Glass embroidery, machine embroidery print. So this is from the OESD software. So this is what the cover looks like on the outside. The lining, what I'm calling the lining, is just a flap where the sleeve of the composition notebook is inserted to. And by composition notebook, this is what I mean. So you can find these at the dollar store. I got this one, I got some at Walgreens as well. It's just got sort of the binding on the side and the lined paper on the inside. Here's another cover that I made. This is not embroidered. This was just peach cork that I found in my stash, and here's a couple that I wanted to show you. This is using the Tula Pink OESC embroidery. So here's one that I made with the black cork, and this one is made with cork with sort of a metallic gold behind it. So I don't currently have an embroidery machine, but I had some help from a couple of my friends. So thanks to Mandy and Marianne for embroidering this cork for me. Here's another one made with the Allison Glass OESC embroidery. And when the project's done, the notebook just really quickly and easily slides into the lining pockets, and you're good to go. So I pilfered a few notebooks from my kids from when they were younger. They brought me a few composition notebooks. But anyway, it's a quick and easy project, and there's one more size that I have in the templates, and you can find the link to the pattern pieces in the description, but I made one for the Quilter's Planner. So I have, this is my Quilter's Planner 2018 version. It's got the thick spiral and lots of helpful pages for planning, not only your projects, but your personal life. And I love using my Quilter's Planner, and this is made using a pre-printed cork. So this is Funky Flowers, and I sell these corks in my shop, lots of different colors and designs. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions while the video is playing, but I hope you enjoy the video. This is how to make the project for the Easy Cork or Leather Notebook. Enjoy. Hey Bag Lady, today I'm going to show you how to make my Easy Cork or Leather notebook cover. This fits a standard composition notebook, and I also have a larger size for the Quilter's Planner. So you can use any fabric that you can cut and leave raw, cork, leather, vinyl, even wool. You can either leave it just plain like this one right here. You can do some hand embroidery or machine embroidery like this one, or you can use a cork print with a design on it like the one I used for my Quilter's Planner. You just need one 18 by 27 piece of fabric and your sewing machine, and it's a quick 10-minute project. So grab your supplies and let's get started. Okay, so this project is for either your standard composition notebook, which you can find at any office supply store or even at the dollar store, or the Quilter's Planner, the 2018 version. So let's go ahead and tape our pattern pieces together. You'll want to print out the templates using Adobe Reader. It's a free program, so if you don't already have it on your device, you can download it for free. And you want to make sure that you print at actual size, so not scaling or fit to page. It's got to be actual size. And on page 2 of the templates, there's a 1-inch square and a 4-centimeter square. And you want to take your ruler and measure either of those and it's got to measure exactly. So if it doesn't measure exactly, if it's slightly smaller or slightly larger than your ruler, you'll need to go back and check your printer settings. So assuming that your templates have printed out correctly, let's go ahead and tape them together. So first we're going to tape together pages 1 and 2, and I'm going to cut out the left-hand margin on page 2. Okay, and if you'll notice, there's little triangles on either page, and you'll use those triangles to align the pieces. And you'll also want to make sure that the drawing for the pattern piece is continuous. Okay, and go ahead and take some Scotch tape and tape those together. Okay, now we're going to tape to this page, number 3, and then finally number 4. So I'm going to cut off the top margin on page 3. Okay, and then I'm also going to cut out from page 4 the left margin and also the top margin. Okay, line with the triangles and tape that last piece into place. Okay, so if you'll notice on this completed taped template, there's one pattern piece for the quilter's planner and there's one for the standard composition notebook. So you won't need both of them. Just choose the correct one for the project that you're making. So today I'm going to be making the standard composition notebook, so that's the one I'm going to cut out. And you're going to cut to the outside of the thick black line. Okay, so now that I've got my pattern piece, let me show you how to cut out the cover from your fabric. So I'm using a Cork fabric and I've already gotten some embroidery on it. The embroidery is completely optional, so if you just want it to be a blank cover, that's completely fine. I don't usually like to fold Cork fabric, and so I'm going to show you how to trace the template on both halves of the fabric. Okay. I'm using a Clover Choco in white, especially since we're cutting this as a raw edge project. I don't want to use my usual friction pens just because I don't want the ink showing on the raw edges of the fabric in the finished project. So that's why I'm using the Clover Choco. Okay, so because this pattern piece says place on the fold, we also need to draw the mirror image half. So I'm going to do that by lining up the paper on that center line that I drew, and then I'm going to draw the other half. Okay, now I'm going to take my fabric scissors and cut out the fabric along the lines. You can also use your rotary cutter. I'm just in the habit of using my Clover Choco and the scissors. Okay, so that's my cover piece, and if you'll notice on the paper template, you also need 2 pieces for the lining. So for the composition size notebook, you'll need 2 pieces that are each 5.5 by 10.25. And I've got those 2 pieces cut out right now. Okay, so what we're going to do with that is I'm going to flip to the wrong side of both of these rectangles. And I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm just going to draw a line that's 1/4 inch in from one of the long edges. And same thing on the second piece. And what we're going to do with that line is, instead of trying to get the edges to be perfectly even and stay even while we're sewing, I made these rectangles slightly larger than the ends of the cover, so we have a little bit of wiggle room. So what I'm going to do is, with one of the short edges of the cover, I'm going to pin that to the line that I just drew, that 1/4 inch line, and you'll have a little bit of overhang on each of these side edges. So go ahead and take some Wonder Clips and clip that into place. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing on the opposite end of the cover, the other short end. We're going to line on that second rectangle. And again, this edge is going to be even with the line that you drew, and you'll have a little bit of overhang of the rectangle past the cover. Okay, so I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew around the entire outer edge of this cover using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I just want to call your attention to my foot. If you're using cork or leather or vinyl, you'll want to be using either a Teflon foot or a walking foot. Okay, now we're going to trim those rectangles so that they're even with the cover. So go ahead and take your time. Since this is going to be a raw edge cover, you really want to make sure that your edges are nice and even. Okay, so the cover's finished. So all that you need to do is grab your notebook and slide it in to the lining pieces. Okay, and it's a great way to use a variety of corks or vinyl. So I made one here with embroidery and black cork, and here's one with just a plain cover. It's a great quick teacher gift and great for the holidays too. Thanks so much. Okay, so wasn't that super, super easy? So definitely perfect for last minute gifts or even planned out gifts. I know a couple kids that will be getting some notebook covers for Valentine's Day next month. So I'm going to go through some of the questions that were coming through the comments while the video was playing. Kathy said, I see you found your paper scissors. I had a problem in this house the last 2 months where the only scissors that could be found were my fabric scissors, and everybody, when they wanted scissors, would reach for the fabric scissors, and I had to cut them all off. Like, no, fabric scissors are only for fabric. If you can't find any scissors for your paper, then I don't know, I can't help you. So yeah, definitely found one set of the paper cutting scissors now, so we're good. Kelly had a question. She said, you make so many bags. Do you buy soft and stable in bulk 15-yard rolls, or do you buy the packages? So while the video was playing, I saw that comment coming through, and I pulled out my roll. It's sort of half used, but this is, I think, 58 inches wide. I like using the By Annie Soft and Stable, so it comes on the rolls like this. This is 15 yards, and the funny thing to note about this is, I don't know if you can see it, let me push this down. The longer that this is exposed to light, it starts to yellow, which doesn't affect the finished bag, but it's just interesting. Soft and Stable comes in white as well as black, and they also sell it in packages. So here, let me push this to the side. They also sell it in packages, so half-yard packages, 1-yard packages, and also smaller project packs. So there goes my ironing board. But let's get to some of the other questions. There's other foam interfacings also, by the way. Flex foam, which you can get at Joann Fabrics or your big box store. I believe that's still 20 inches wide. Bosal Interform is another foam interfacing, and that comes packages similar to the Soft and Stable, so 1-yard packages, half-yard, and so on. All right, Suzanne wanted to know what size stitch length are you using and needle size. So for that Cork notebook, I use 2.5 millimeter stitch length, and needle size, I like using either Schmetz Microtex needles or Oregon 9014 needles. Either one I like using. Because the layers of the cork were not too thick, I stuck with the 2.5 millimeters, but for other top stitching or thicker fabrics, I might use 3 millimeters so the stitches don't look so close together due to the thickness of the fabric. But for this one, I used 2.5 millimeters. Carolyn said, I had to leave the live video for a bit. Where do we get the templates? Are they a PDF file? Yes, indeed. For this project, it's a PDF file. The link is in the description, or you can also find it on my website, but there's pictures, there's a link to download the PDF, but it's just a 4-page PDF with the template for the composition notebook and also for the quilter's planner. So either one, both of the templates are provided. Barbara says, looks like a nice fit for that notebook. Do you allow just enough edge? So there's just a tiny bit of wiggle room, and tiny. I sort of designed these covers to fit pretty closely to the actual composition notebook, and I have several brands of composition notebooks, and I didn't find any difficulty fitting either of them. They were purchased from different stores, and they all fit. And same thing with the quilter's planner. There's just a tiny bit of space, but it does fit in. You don't have to jam it in or anything to those lining sleeves. Gloria said, I missed this part about the embroidery. Is it done by machine? I don't have an embroidery machine yet, but I had some friends machine embroider these for me. So 2 of them were the Allison Glass OESD embroidery software, which is, OESD is the company that makes the software, and you just buy it. It's I believe a CD. I don't have an embroidery machine, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's a package that you purchase with lots of Allison Glass designs for your embroidery machine, and these were both Tula Pink OESD software also. All right, Yvonne says, can't wait for the train case videos in February. Yeah, We're wrapping up all of our Minikins videos this week, and we're starting to film the next 4-pack video bundle. So that's 4 patterns and videos that we're selling in a bundle as well as individually. And the Crimson and Clover train case pattern will be in that bundle for sure, because I've had a lot of requests for that one. Jasmine says the fabric store didn't have any Pellon SF101. Is there anything else comparable? It depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it to interface for lining, that's definitely my favorite one. There's not an exact substitute for that, so if possible, I would wait, either check back another week at the store or try to get some online. SF101, or also known as Shapeflex, is my favorite interfacing for lining fabrics, definitely. Buster Bun wanted to know, will you be designing your own fabric line in the future? I actually did design fabric, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. I designed 2 lines of fabric for Art Gallery Fabrics. One was called Jungle Avenue and was sort of metropolitan Chicago themed fabric, and the second one was called Fantasia, which was unicorns, because I've always been super into horses. But I found during that process that designing fabric and designing patterns were both full-time jobs, and I didn't want to just do okay at these 2 things. I wanted to do really, really great at, or at least the best I could at one of them, and I loved patterns more, so that's why I stuck with the sewing patterns. But I did design 2 lines of fabric, and it was a great learning process. I learned a lot about using the software. I used Adobe Illustrator to make the designs for the fabric, and it was really interesting learning how to create a repeat of fabric. So a repeat is, for instance, grabbing this Tula Pink fabric. Repeats, you know, obviously there's a bird motif, but getting it to repeat throughout the fabric without looking staggered was really interesting, and I think that probably took the most time to learn, but it was a great process, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was fun sewing with fabric that I had designed myself. Pat's joining us. Hi, Pat. I was chatting with Pat briefly on Instagram earlier. Pat said, how would you make adjustments for custom sizes? So for custom or different sizes for the notebook cover, I would suggest, and which is what I did for these, just trial and error. So if you're working with maybe a smaller cover than this one, obviously you don't want to use your good cork or leather fabric for your trial, but you could certainly use maybe a piece of muslin fabric or any fabric, even if it frays, you could use to test out your design first. But what I did for making the bigger version for the quilter's planner, I just enlarged the piece. I sewed one together. It didn't work because I couldn't get the cover to go in the sleeve, so I made one a little, you know, I measured to see how much I was off, made it a little bigger, and tried again. So that's what I would suggest for making covers for different sizes, but like even like a moleskin notebook or something like that. But once you have that size down, you can purchase additional notebooks of that size, and you're golden. So that was my answer for that. Yvonne says, thanks for all you do, Sarah. Love your patterns and videos. Look forward to Sunday and Tuesday videos, and while you're fast at answering emails, thank you, thank you. I try my best with the emails. Some days it doesn't work as well as I planned for answering emails, because sometimes, today we are filming one of the Minikins videos, which we posted for the grab and go sleeve, and we were finishing details for this video, and we had the live video tonight, and you know, depending on what my kids have going on after school, I try my best to answer as quickly as I can with the emails, and I usually, if possible, look for the most urgent sounding emails first. Like if somebody's stuck on a step in the pattern, obviously those are the most urgent, and I want to get to those quickly, because I know it's frustrating if you don't understand the next step. If you have to wait, you know, 3 days for a reply, that's frustrating. So I try my best. Hey Tamara. Tamara is my friend in real life. I met Tamara at my retreat that I hosted last year, and then I saw her again in Florida when I taught at the Crafty Gemini retreat. Tamara says, great, easy, and cute project, thanks. All right, so let's see if there's any more questions coming through, and if not, I wanted to sneak peek for my chat next Tuesday for Ask Sarah. I have a special guest. I have an accountant and certified CPA, chief financial officer. He will be joining me for Ask Sarah next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be talking about accounting, which numbers always freak me out. I'm not a math person, and looking at numbers sort of makes my head explode. But my guest for next week is going to be talking about hobby versus business. If you're perhaps making and selling bags, perhaps taking custom orders, what's the difference between sewing for a hobby and sewing for a business, and what kinds of things do you have to keep in mind if you're sewing bags to your customers. So we're going to have a nice chat next week, and his name is Nate. Nate is going to be answering your questions live. So if you've ever thought about making and selling bags, custom orders, or even quilts or other items, or if you're already doing it, if you have questions about that, be sure to join us next Tuesday for that chat. Myra had a question: which Sizzix dies fit a Big Shot 6-inch machine? I'm not sure about that. I have a Big Shot Plus, which fits all of the dies that I've designed so far, so it fits several different sizes of dies. I believe the Big Shot, the small machine, just fits the Big's L dies, which is the small die that I use for the coin purse and the box pouch. Karen wants to know, where do you buy your cork? I've always wanted to try it. So I sell cork like this and cork like this on my website. We've got about 80 different colors and prints. So this one's what I consider one of the prints. So this is just natural cork with printed on top of it, just different designs. So check my website, it's sewsweetness.com, and there's a little tab at the top. You can click on cork fabric and you can see all of the varieties listed there. And we sell it in 2 different sizes. So 18 by 27 inches, which will cut out for this notebook, and you'll have some left over, or we have what would be considered a half-yard piece, so 18 by 54 for that one. Diane wanted to know, hi Sarah, what would be a medium weight interfacing to use? So that's tough because, for instance, the Pellon Shapeflex SF101 would be considered a medium weight interfacing. I suppose it depends on what the project that you're looking to make for it. Like a soft slouchy bag, I would consider maybe Pellon Thermolam or Pellon Fusible Fleece. If you want any bag with structure, I like using the foam interfacing, so probably 95% of the bags I make, I use the foam interfacing just because I like the nice structure and a bag that can stand up by itself. Pat had a comment, Sarah's cork is awesome. Thank you so much, Pat. Yeah, I like the cork. It's really durable. Some more information about the cork: it's water resistant, so you don't necessarily have to put it in the washing machine or dryer to clean it. You can just take a damp rag and just wipe it. It is Scotchgard treated by the manufacturer, and UV protectant is applied to it as well. So for instance, some of the cork colors, like this is peach or the black, the colors shouldn't run because it's been treated by the manufacturer. And yeah, it's really, really durable, but nice to sew with because it's nice and flexible, and it's backed by a cotton polyester blend, so it's nice to sew with as well. Anne had a question, is all your cork lined on the back? Yeah, it's lined. Let me just hold one of these up for you so you can see, take the notebook out. But this is what the back looks like. That's the cotton polyester blend, and it's, I'm not sure what I would consider it close to, maybe a really soft canvas. It feels nice to the touch. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Thanks so much, Laura. Laura says, So Sweetness sells awesome cork and faux leather. We have glitter vinyl too, which you can use glitter vinyl to make these notebook covers as well. And it's the glitter vinyl is really cute. Lots of bright colors for the glitter vinyl. I think a lot of kids would like probably a cover with that glitter vinyl as well. Marietta says her shipping time is fast and great service. Thank you, Marietta. We ship packages weekdays. U.S. packages go out via priority mail, and we ship around the world as well using first-class parcel mail. And yeah, Tamara says the cork's a dream to sew with too. But anyway, you know, the cover doesn't have to be made with cork. You can use leather. Like I mentioned before, you can use wool also. Perhaps it would be nice to have some nice wool applique with the backing fabric be wool. So these can be made in other substrates as well. Wool would be really nice to see. Emily Ann wants to know, does your cork come from Portugal? Yes, it does. Maybe one week I will post a video. There's a really interesting video on YouTube about how the cork fabric is harvested. So it is sustainable. So taking the cork from the tree doesn't kill the tree. The workers use sort of a blade to kind of peel back the layer of the cork, and then the cork continues to thrive. So cork trees can produce more cork for hundreds of years, which I found really fascinating. And then the cork is bonded in sheets to that backing fabric. So it's really interesting, and I thought it was really cool. Maybe sometime I'll post that Cork video. Buster Bunny wants to know, do you need a special needle for glitter vinyl? I just use my same Schmetz Microtex or the Oregon 9014 needles for the glitter vinyl. That may vary by machine, but I feel like most machines, that would be a good needle to use for that. Tracy had a question, fabric scissors for cutting the cork. Yes, I definitely recommend the fabric scissors for cutting the cork, for sure, and that's what I used in the video also. Candy wants to know, do you have any patterns for agendas or portfolios? That's really interesting. I'll take a look at that for a future video, because I like the idea of the raw cut projects because they're really fast and they're not lined, even though the cork has that nice backing fabric. So I'll take a look at that for future. So, all right, I think that we're about good for questions for tonight. Be sure not to miss next Tuesday for the talk with the accountant. I think that'll be really interesting. And as always, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. I'll see you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time for Ask Sarah. Happy sewing.